This broadcast of In Focus is being made possible through the support of Reed Health. Reed Health, right beside you. And by First Bank Richmond, with 8 locations serving Wayne County. First Bank Richmond and you, doing great things together. Hi, welcome to this week's In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WCTV Channel 11. I'm Eric Marsh, Executive Director. Glad you're able to join us for what hopefully will be a couple of interesting conversations. Yes, we've decided to abandon the studio again this week. Why do we have that place? We're just not there enough anymore. And we are out a little bit. The second half of the show, we'll be speaking with Valerie Shaffer, President and CEO of the EDC of Wayne County. We're going to start at the Neighborhood Health Center. Opened up about a year or so ago, right?
We did, absolutely. April 30th, 2018, we opened our doors.
Okay. We're speaking with Carrie Miles, who's the Executive Director, and we will get a little bit more background on her, why this is here in just a minute, but yes, it is that time. I have to remind you, I know there's only one race and you really don't care, but you do. This is for the Democrat primary for the mayor of Richmond. Is the only primary race we have. We still want you to make sure that you're registered to vote, because even if you don't vote in the primary, you'll want to vote in the general election, and you just want to get this done. So you can go to indianavoters.com and check your status. Make sure, just in case you've moved or something along those lines, that you are actually registered to vote, or you can vote there. If you like doing those things in person, you can go to the voter registration office at 301 East Main Street in Richmond, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. The numbers are also on the screen in case you want to give them a call and ask some questions. There will be one In Focus candidate forum. As I mentioned, there's only one contested race this spring. So Mayor Dave Snow and his opponent, Jack Cruz, have both agreed to sit in with us on April 18th from 6 to 7:30 on In Focus. We'll spend 90 minutes with the two of them. Obviously, I'll have a few questions, but we will be inviting your questions. You can do it during the show, or if you want to send them ahead of time to wctv@iue.edu, we'll be sure to ask your questions for you. So mark that date. Thursday, April 18th, the only In Focus candidate forum, and yes, we are working with our friends from the Wayne County Area Chamber of Commerce. We are out and about the Neighborhood Health Center. Carrie Miles, the Executive Director here. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Appreciate you giving us some time.
Absolutely, thank you.
Let's start with a couple of questions that I think people have talked about, and maybe they've gotten an answer and maybe they haven't. The building that you're in actually used to be private doctor's office, then Reed Health bought it, yes, and now you're here. What is your relationship with Reed?
Absolutely. So we are leasing the facility from Reed Health. We did some fairly major renovations, as you probably noticed coming in the front door, in order to prepare for this opening, but we are leasing the space from Reed Health as well as the staff. So in terms of just being able to jumpstart a business, trying to work very closely with a large employer to pool the necessary skill set and employees that we needed, Reed Health was a great fit for that.
Okay. What is a federally qualified health clinic?
Yes, so it's been a long-standing thing that the federal government has done since really the early 1960s, and it started out in southern the United States, and they really look to be able to provide health care for migrant workers and low income. And it's transformed over the decades to really become a one-stop shop for patients, regardless of their ability to pay to seek health care, as well as behavioral health, access to dental services, and then all of the supporting services that are needed in order to help individuals that are at a low poverty level obtain quality health care.
This facility is at 10th and South A Street. If you go up the street 4 blocks, there is another federally qualified health clinic. How are you the same and how are you different from the Wayne County Health Department?
Absolutely, that's a great question. We have a lot of similarities, but obviously some big differences. The Wayne County Community Health Center has been doing this, certainly much longer and a much different scale than what we're doing here. They are a full-fledged federally qualified grantee. We are a federally qualified look-alike, which essentially means that we have to look alike and feel alike and abide by the same regulations that all FQHCs do, but we don't have access to additional grant funds and a few other amenities that are afforded to those. So a little bit alike in terms of scope and services, but certainly different from a funding standpoint.
As you look at that look-alike status, is that something that over time can change, or is that where you are? You will always be a look-alike, as it were.
No, I think we're always going to be looking for opportunities to make sure that we can remain open and serving the community. So I think obtaining a grant status is certainly a goal of ours. It's certainly something that we've talked with our board of directors about, and being able to sustain and grow our services in the community will be certainly something that we look at here in the coming years.
What would it take for you all to actually be able to reach that status? Is it a number of patients? Is it time open? What kind of things would you be working toward in order to get that fully qualified status?
I think a little bit of both. I think certainly we need to function as an FQHC lookalike to better understand that model and the data requirements. The federal government likes data, so we are required to track and submit a series of quality metrics and financial metrics and demographics on our patients. I think also just being able to understand the community needs better in order to fill gaps where those are. But it's an application process with HRSA, which is the a branch of the federal government that oversees FQHCs, and it's certainly a long process. The first thing that they look at is community needs, and making sure that there is a need in the community for additional providers and additional services. It is the first hoop that you have to jump through. Typically they will send a team of consultants on site to review your quality, your policies, your procedures, your governance oversight with your governing board to ensure that you are compliant with all the regulations.
Let's talk a little bit about your governing board and how that works. What is the structure of this organization?
I think the neatest thing about federally qualified health centers that they have done is the way that they've required boards to be structured. Our board can be made up of anywhere from 9 to 25 individuals, but 51% of those must be patients or consumers of our board. So it literally is the voice of the people, which makes it a very different, eclectic group of people, and our board is certainly has been that. They're very passionate about this community. They're a very eclectic, different group of people. We have just all different genres of people that are represented. They want the board to be representative of your demographics in your community, and so we have folks who are retired healthcare workers all the way up to people who worked in Work One for staffing. We've got executives that are in corporations, to those who serve the public in a variety of different ways. So I think they really are our greatest advocates, and have been certainly the guiding star that we're really focused on, and making sure that they're leading us into the next several years as we progress as an organization.
What was the time frame that got you to this point? As it started, you were talking. Did you open and then find your board? Did you have to have your board before you opened? And if 51% of it has to be patients, then how did you get that number before you got to
a little
where
bit
you
of
are?
both. So we knew when we opened we were going to transition with a provider. Her name's Terry Short, and she had previously been a provider here in Richmond. So she had a panel of patients that she was working with. So we were able to, talk to some of them about their willingness to, partner with us just to try to strategize about what are the best ways to take care of this community. How can we be impactful and make the community and the population healthier? And so the board was formed, and we made plans to began renovating the building, of course, and looking at all the legalities of setting up a corporation. And so they really have been in from the ground floor up. We're here for opening day, which was really exciting for us, and was able to share really all of those milestones. So for them, it's really been a huge learning curve to understand their role as board members, and certainly board members for federally qualified health centers. HRSA, the staff that met with, that came on site to do our inspection last fall, met with the board of directors individually and really talked with them about their understanding of their roles and how they can, again, be impactful, and was able to share some ideas with us about different projects and services that we could potentially offer. So it's been really exciting to see some of the board members get engaged in the process and feel that ownership of it. And I think that really has come from them being involved really from day one, which has been very exciting.
Talk a little bit about you. How did they come to decide that you were going to be the executive director? Or how did you come to decide that you were going to be the executive director? And what's your healthcare background? Yeah,
so my healthcare background has been a little bit of a curvy road over the last 25 years. My undergraduate degree is in medical technology, and so I started in the laboratory in 1998 and worked mostly in hematology and blood bank, and transitioned into a management role and was able to oversee the clinical staff there. The opportunity came available to begin a career in lean management, so I actually have my Six Sigma black belt from Purdue University, so that was a really neat experience. Transitioned into business development and really enjoyed just understanding the community and the needs of the community when this role came open. And for me, I was born and raised in Wayne County. I'm on the western side, so I make my commute east every day, but this is where I've lived and worked. This is where we've raised our family, and where we plan to retire. And so making sure that I can play some type of role in making the community healthier and providing access to necessary services was something that I really felt passionate about, and the opportunity to help grow an organization really from the ground up was pretty exciting for me. Kind of a win-win from a personal standpoint, and then obviously a servant standpoint. So that's really where how I've come into this role. Obviously the board of directors was involved in the interview process with several candidates, and really pulled in a fairly large number of individuals from around the region to look at this. And I was fortunate enough to be chosen, and just humbled to be able to serve in this role.
Talk about, if you would, the overall health of residents in Wayne County. There's a federally qualified health center almost literally 6 blocks. You are here, and you all got the status that you were looking for. I think the fact that you're so close together says something about the health here. Talk about what you all were seeing that made you feel like this location, this place was a good fit, and what we have here in Wayne County as a whole from a health standpoint.
Yeah, I think when you step back and take a look from the big picture, Indiana ranks number 41 out of 50 states in the U.S. Wayne County is number 87 out of 92 counties. So we're literally one of the unhealthiest counties in the unhealthiest states in the United States. So then when you further look at some of the data, we've got 24% of adults who've had no consistent source of primary care. 44% of our service population lives at or below 200% of the federal poverty level. We have nearly 9,000 individuals in our service area that are uninsured. 45% of adults have received no dental care in the last year. Mental health access is one of the top 3 health initiatives in this region, and about a third of no-show appointments are because of transportation issues. So when you really look at the health of Wayne County, there really is a tremendous amount of need. And so that really is what spurred the conversation of how do we serve these patients more effectively. And I think that comes down to the way that FQHCs are structured really is a catalyst for that. We're able to help with providing transportation to appointments. We're able to help with medication assistance. We're able to provide access to eligibility services where we can get individuals set up for Medicaid and or other state funding programs. So we have that ability to be able to provide that care, not just about their diabetes, but about all of the other pieces of their life that could become barriers in regards to picking up prescriptions, understanding their prescriptions, just being able to get to their appointments. Really all of those things have played a role in us narrowing down a short list of how an FQHC really is beneficial. And I think, as I mentioned, the first step to becoming a federally qualified center, a health center lookalike, was for HRSA to look at the needs of the community. And I think they certainly saw that while we do have actually 2 FQHCs already in Wayne County, Meridian is the second, there was still a tremendous need. And I think that was certainly apparent when you look at some of the statistics, in terms of, the smoking percentages and the obesity issues have continued to rise. As of 2015, Wayne County is the number 1 county in the state of Indiana for children living below the poverty level. That's pretty stark and pretty scary to be in. So, I think for us to try to fit that model of what works, and I think it really comes down to relationships. I think until you understand and meet people where they are, it's really hard to affect their lives and their health. It typically falls to the bottom of the list of things that they're trying to take care of when they're struggling.
What do you say to people who say, it all seems to be, and again, I mentioned the fact that there's another one 6 blocks from here. It all seems to be centered in Richmond. There are other parts of Wayne County that could use some help. How do we begin to think about stretching that out over the entirety of the county? I
agree. I think that's certainly a priority, and it has been something that we've discussed at a board level. But for us really to get started, 70% of our patients live within a 10-mile radius of this address. So, we really knew that this was the right location. It's centrally located. We have access to public transportation, obviously the bus systems and whatnot. We have a tremendous amount of our population that walk to their appointments, and that was really something that we hadn't necessarily anticipated to be as great as what it is. So from a location standpoint, I feel like we're in the right position to serve the residents here of Richmond, but the needs of Wayne County are certainly are still unmet. So I think that will be something strategically for us to think about. How do we serve some of the outlying areas of Wayne County, Centerville, Cambridge City, Fountain City, those types and those areas.
As you look at the services that you're providing, what specifically are you providing right now? What are you hoping to be able to add on as you continue to grow?
Currently, we provide primary care access, as well as behavioral health services and access to dental services. I think probably for us, the biggest key over the next couple of years is going to be for us to be able to take care of the demand for behavioral health. I think we are just on the cusp of understanding and getting patients engaged with how their mental health affects their physical health. So for us to be able to really do a great job of recruiting providers into this type of model will be key, and will be something that we're going to be looking at very closely in order to provide those services. Dental services is a little bit of a question for me. I really thought that the dental referrals would take off and we would have a very high demand for that. Mm-hmm. We're making a lot of referrals. We haven't seen a lot of patients complete their services. So I think that's something that we can continue to look at. Perhaps we're not providing the services where they're the most necessary. So I think looking at dental services and how we can make sure and expand that. I mean, again, obviously the statistics are very high that we've got individuals who are, do not have access or have not accessed a dentist in quite some time.
What's your staffing levels like, and how have they changed since you started? Where do you see them in a year based on the numbers of patients that you're seeing right now?
Yeah, we started when we opened with one nurse practitioner. We added a second last fall, and we have a third coming on later this summer. So the demand is certainly there. The needs are certainly there. Support staff to assist the providers has grown a little bit. We have about 20 individuals that work here in the building. We are completely, self-serving in terms of we're doing all of the billing, all of the financial recordings, those types of things here inside of the facility. So I think it will grow a little bit. I don't know that we're going to get, much past the 25 mark here in the next year at this location.
As you think about your patients and people think about this location, maybe, what do they need to know as far as what their requirements are for accessing your services?
Absolutely. It starts really with just a simple phone call to get them scheduled. In order for them to qualify for the sliding fee schedule, which allows them to have their fees based off of their family size and income, we need some type of record of their financial bank statements, pay stubs, tax records, those types of things in order to get them qualified for the reduced services. After that, we'll get them plugged in with whatever additional resources that they need, either from the behavioral health or the dental side. We also have individuals and staff here to help with the financial paperwork. Obviously, that is usually a little bit of a barrier with folks for a variety of reasons. Everyone likes, forms and paperwork when they come to doctor's offices. So we do. But we do have somebody here on site to help, and assist that so that it's not just simply we're handing you a packet of paper to fill out and bring it back to us when you get a chance. So we tried to make the referral process for new patients as painless as possible. We really are more about looking at cooperation than anything. And really, again, that goes back to the relationship piece.
How has the construction that has been constant around your building affected staff, affected how you all are able to talk to people with jackhammers going on out there, and patients even just being able to access the building? Yeah,
it's been a challenge. We've tried to find the silver lining, and when this is done, it's going to be beautiful, and we're really excited to see what we hope the end is near. Although I think it's getting ready to ramp back up again
but this should be the last phase.
This should be the last phase, but it has certainly been a challenge. The one-way streets in Richmond are always a challenge for anyone, but trying to make sure that staff can navigate. At 8 o'clock, 10th Street might be open, and by noon it's closed again, and by 4 o'clock, it's closed. So you just never know. So we just try to keep really abreast of what's going on around us, and make sure that when we are calling patients for reminders that we're asking them to leave some additional time to get here. Certainly with staff, they understand that you may have to leave a few minutes early to get to work on time, but we're making the best of it. It's a necessary evil, and we're looking forward to having the construction finished up.
We're down to our last couple of minutes. Yeah. What haven't I asked you that you would really like the community to know about this facility and what it is that you all do?
I think what I would like the community to understand is that we've tried to approach healthcare a little bit differently in terms of just we really do want to have relationships with our patients, and we want to be involved and be helpful in their life and meet them where they want to go from a health perspective. Everyone involved with Neighborhood Health Center, from the board of directors to our staff, to our providers, to our management team, has been very intentional about creating an environment that shows respect and that is a partner in their health care. And I think that our patients feel that, and I hope that our patients feel that. So, we are accepting new patients. We would love to be their partner, long term with their health care, and would appreciate any feedback that they can provide to us in order to, make part of Wayne County a little bit healthier.
What's a phone number somebody can call if they want to reach out to you all? 965-4299 is our main number here at Neighborhood Health Center. And you're open from when to when?
Mondays and Tuesdays we have late hours, so we're here until 7:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Mondays and Tuesdays. Okay. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday is a more traditional day, 7:30 to 5. But we do have late appointments on Mondays and Tuesdays, trying to make access a little bit easier for patients.
Carrie Miles, Executive Director of the Neighborhood Health Center. I appreciate you taking some time for us today.
Absolutely, thank you.
Hi, I'm Eric, host of Access to the Arts. We're back. We're going to have a conversation with Ray Ontko. We'll hear from Ryan Shaw about RCT. We'll talk to Jay Conard about RCO. And we'll talk about Bethany Theological Seminary with Jeff Carter.
So the arts bring beauty, whether it is through the eye or through the ear, but it's all felt in the heart.
Access to the Arts, Thursday nights at 9 on WETV, Channel 20.
Nappy-headed boy. Been my only worry. What's for Christmas? What would be my joy? Even though we sometimes when I get up, we were happy with the joy that they would bring. Now you're best to bring the water to your eyes, thinking it might stop her from moving you behind.
Hi, I'm Phil Quinn. On this month's edition of Connect with Ivy Tech, we talk with Chris Bottomley from the Connersville campus.
One thing great about Ivy Tech is it is a community college, so that they try to build programs and do things that are good for your community.
Also, we get to join Ag Department Chair Scott Caldwell as he talks to the Wayne County Soil and Water Conservation's annual dinner. Connect with Ivy Tech this Friday at 9 on WETV Channel 20.
Welcome back to In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WCTV Channel 11. I'm Eric Marsh, Executive Director of Whitewater Community Television, and glad you're able to join us for this episode of In Focus. We just got done speaking with Carrie Miles, who, I have to say, full disclosure, Carrie is a member of the Whitewater Community Television Board of Directors. That's not why we spoke with her, but you should know that. I'm about to begin speaking with Valerie Shaffer, President and CEO of the EDC of Wayne County, who is a former Whitewater Community Television member of the Board of Directors. So it's, I'm stroking people here today, so being nice to folks. Valerie, thank you. It's good to have you back with us on In Focus again.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's been a little while.
It has been a little while. It's hard to get you into the studio on a Thursday evening. I start saying evenings to people,
Yeah.
and there are so many things going on sometimes that it's hard to do. But we're glad to actually have a chance to be here at the EDC office. We'll get a little B-roll later for those who have not had a chance to be in this particular facility. You've been here how long now?
It's been a little over a year and a half.
Okay.
Yes, we love our new office space. We receive so many compliments on the history of the building, how we've remodeled it and are reusing it. The trains go by while we're in meetings, and that's always interesting, but it adds a little flair to the EDC here.
It was important for you all to make this move into this particular area, into the depot. Why was that?
Well, we really wanted to be a part of the revitalization of this area. We had a great office space at Wayne Bank and Trust for, over 20 years prior to that. But as we looked at this opportunity to be a part of the growth and the change of the Depot District, just felt like something fit and felt right for us to make the move and be down here.
Before we get into some of the questions that I have, I'm going to give you a chance because, you and I work with people who are sometimes behind the scenes, quote unquote. Why don't you talk a little bit about the staff here at EDC?
Sure. So there are a total of 4 of us. We are small but mighty. Sara Mitchell, she recently joined us. She is the former city planner for the city of Richmond, and she is now the manager of existing business and education. And so really what she is doing is she's the liaison between our educational system and our employers. We all know about the challenge of workforce development, workforce readiness, and so she's really helping to communicate the needs of our employers to our educators to help bridge that gap in terms of what's needed with our workforce.
Is that on a college level, or does it go even below that?
We work a lot with K through 12, particularly our high schools, looking at trying to get our employers engaged in the educational process. So one of the main programs that she was working on just a couple of months ago was our Find a Job Friday program. So that is getting employers in the lunchroom of every high school 2 Fridays a month, and employers are just engaging with students, talking about who their company is, what they do, what are the benefits of working there, and what skills do you need to work there. And so it's a great way to build awareness of job opportunities in the community. And then we have Renee Doty. She has been with us for many, many years here at the EDC. She is Manager of Community Affairs, which that means a lot of marketing and communications on behalf of the EDC. She has played a pivotal role in our new Home and Wayne campaign, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. But that's focused on talent recruitment and retention, helping employers put the best foot forward for our community when they're recruiting outsiders to locate here in Wayne County. And then she's also played a great role in the development and ongoing upkeep of Hoosier Opportunity, our local jobs portal here in East Central Indiana.
Okay.
And then we also have Elena Garris. She's our office manager.
Somebody has to bring it all together.
She keeps it all running. She does everything from accounts receivable and payable to scheduling, managing board meetings, but she also plays a critical role in all of our database maintenance. So our buildings and sites database with the state of Indiana that has to keep up to date in order for us to submit properties to the state for new projects coming in. And then all of our project spreadsheets and activities, she really is the data person, and so we rely on her for a lot of research that we need for projects as well.
You mentioned some of Sara's work with education in the schools. We had a chance here on In Focus to have some students from the Lincoln High School BPA on a few weeks ago. We also had a chance to spend some time in Muncie at the JAG district competition. Can you talk about how BPA and Jobs for America's graduates, having programs like that really thriving, it looks like, in Wayne County is important to what it is that you do?
Oh, it's absolutely important. It's again that engagement piece, helping students prepare for the future and engaging them with employers that have real opportunities for them to consider after graduation. If we don't let our students know what their potential is, they're never going to reach it. So having those types of programs here that provide students with special opportunities outside of traditional educational experiences, I think are very valuable.
A couple of things that people are going to want me to ask you about before we get to home in Wayne and some of the other stuff. There are spaces in this community, obviously, that because of what you do, you have a knowledge of and an understanding of. Let's start with the most current one that people have been talking about, and that is the group that has gotten together to control the Elder Bierman building, or what will now be the former Elder Bierman building. That's on your plate. How do you see that transforming, and what's the conversation surrounding what could potentially be in that spot?
Yeah, I mean, the role of economic development for the EDC has really been changing and evolving over the years. If you would have told me 10 years ago that we would own a former big box store, I would have laughed at you. But
a lot of things have changed like that.
A lot of things have changed. So we really tried to adapt to modern economic development. And when the Elder Bierman property came up for sale in the auction, and actually in the first round, it actually was sold to an outside investor who, after being contacted, had no idea really where Richmond was. They had no details about the building, didn't have any immediate development plans. We knew that we had to get serious after that deal fell through about gaining control of that property, because we don't want it just to sit vacant. We didn't want someone just to place their dollars there as a way to avoid capital gains tax or whatever it may be. And so we took a risk in acquiring that property, but it is for a really good purpose here in Richmond. We want to make sure that we find the right developer that has the means to redevelop that property in a meaningful way that's going to be complementary of existing businesses downtown. So the EDC, as a 501c3 development corporation, we're able to hold title to property, and we're going to be able to vet development opportunities and sell it to the right individual. And so we'll continue to work with our partners at the city and the county, and then we'll bring back together the Elder Bierman Task Force, which is made up of community leaders, local bankers, to run by them ideas. Right now we've been really focused on just maintenance of the property. We've been working on determining the selling price. We're working on a listing agreement with any realtor that wants to show it rather than listing with one firm. We'll have individual agreements in place once a realtor wants to show the property that will guarantee them a commission regardless of the sale price, because we really want to engage the real estate community to help be partners of ours and market that property. But in terms of the end use, there are so many different ideas that are being floated. We've started promoting it very lightly right now. We're finalizing the flyer, but the property is in our database, but there are a lot of different proposed uses. I would say
any that seem more viable than others?
Certainly mixed-use commercial would be the most viable, it being split up into a multi-tenant commercial property. But we really want to focus on landing that one large anchor first. So perhaps it could be a back office or customer service operation, or a small regional headquarters that would take the second floor. And then other smaller retail and services could follow on the first floor that would support individuals working and living in the downtown area. Big box retail is highly unlikely. Right now, brick and mortar stores are closing left and right. That doesn't mean we're not going to try to market it to other larger retailers, but the future is just unknown right now. But we're working every day to revise our plan. The one other use that's been talked about a lot is market rate apartments, which would be a very interesting endeavor, but a costly endeavor when you think about, cutting windows and those thick cement walls, but it's not unlikely.
So there's still a heavy conversation and a heavy hope that at some point downtown could be truly a living space. I know there has been
Absolutely.
talk for a long time about the second and third floors of some of the older buildings and things of that nature. That is still something that those of you that are in the know believe could be viable in our downtown area.
Absolutely. Housing downtown is really a priority right now. There are a few individuals, one local, one not, that are actually exploring second and third floor housing in several properties downtown. And there's some other ideas that are percolating as well. But we know if we want to fully revitalize downtown Richmond, we have to have more people living in the area. We have to be able to have the right type of housing to raise the median income down there, so we have individuals with disposable income that could enjoy the current and future amenities that will be down there.
I know people are going to want to ask, what about the undeveloped piece of property now on Chester Boulevard? Used to have a hospital sitting on it.
Yes.
Everybody wanted it gone. It's gone. So now you've got a piece of property. What's the marketing plan for that right now?
Well, the city of Richmond's really been taking the lead on that property. As the owner, I believe we've been kind of taking our time a little bit, similar to the former Elder Bierman property. You want to make sure that you have your ducks in a row and you have all the right information gathered in order to be able to market it in a meaningful way. So they're working on engaging with a consultant to help through that process. It's a very unique property in a commercial district that's predominantly medical. You know, trying to determine what is the highest and best use of the remaining acreage in that corridor. So really, that would be a better question with the mayor.
Okay.
I will be engaged in that process. I'm just not fully up to speed right now.
To go back to the Elder Bierman building, one question that I'm going to ask that kept coming up with that other piece of property, has there been an agreement among those of you around the table that whatever happens with the Elder Bierman property, it needs to stay on the tax rolls?
That is the goal of myself and the city and the county. However, there's no ordinance in place that states that it has to, but that is certainly the end goal.
I mentioned that Carrie Miles was our first conversation in this show. She talked about the need for opening up an additional federally qualified health center, like what they are. That the health of Wayne County statistically is not strong. Can you talk about where that falls in what potential employers look at when they think about coming to Wayne County? And what are some of the other factors that they're dealing with that you have to answer questions about?
Sure. You know, it's healthcare for an employer is certainly a cost, right? And so the more unhealthy your community, the higher healthcare costs they might incur to insure a group, right? So health and wellness of the individuals in the community are a factor that is considered. It's not a top factor when they look at the overall cost of doing business in a community. First and foremost, they're going to look at the cost of a building or a site, the cost of construction for their upfront capital costs, but then they're going to look at total wages in whatever category of people that they're hiring. They're going to look at the top rate of pay, median pay, and then the entry-level pay, and compare that to their other locations if they have them. But they're also going to look at the cost of reoccurring costs. So that would be utilities, for example. But I'm sure as healthcare continues to evolve and change, that will continue to probably rise in their level of concerns when you look at workforce in total.
As you talk to potential employers, site developers, things of that nature, what are some of the pluses and minuses that you're pushing of this particular community? Because I think there's a lot of people who could come up with a ton of minuses, particularly on social media. But I think it's good that we know what both sides of that equation are and what you are talking to people about as far as we're concerned.
Well, you know, our local economy has been doing very well. We've had several strong cases of new businesses coming into the area, and more importantly, our existing businesses growing. Just last year, we had over 377 new job commitments from 5 companies in Wayne County, 1 new company and then 4 expansions. And so site selection consultants, they want to hear about those examples, who's growing and why. And even though labor shortage is always a challenge, especially in a more rural part of the state where we are facing population decline, that's certainly a negative that we have to counteract. But our employers who are growing are those who cite the workforce as the reason that they're able to grow. They have committed people who are not only committed to the business, but are committed to the growth of the business and learning the new technologies that they need to in order to stay in their positions and stay abreast of what's going on with technology and as it relates to manufacturing in general. So even though we hear a lot about the challenges of workforce, it's also a very positive in this area as well. And I would say it's mostly directly related to wages. So those employers who are paying at higher levels aren't having as much challenges of being able to recruit people to the area. So really workforce is number one that we talk about, because not only are many employers doing well and growing, but we have many training opportunities as well. We're very fortunate to have all the higher educational institutions that we have here and the ability to find resources and the grant dollars at the state and local level to marry the two to make sure that if training is needed that we're able to deliver it. And then cooperation is key. I have heard time and time again after a site visit that individuals who are looking at Wayne County are very impressed by the coordination that they see here among all of our utility providers, our educators, our elected officials, and the EDC office, who very clearly are working together for the one common goal, and that is to continue to improve our community, attract new companies, newer tax base to the area, and really make a positive difference.
Well, we're down to our last few minutes. You're watching In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11, speaking with Valerie Shaffer, President and CEO of the Economic Development Corporation. A couple of initiatives I'd like you to talk about. One, you mentioned it, Home in Wayne. The idea of trying to, one, keep some of the people that we have, and two, maybe bring people back who have left. That initiative is about a year old or so?
It is, but we have just launched an expanded website. I'd like everyone to check that out. If you know of anyone that's considering moving back to the area, whether they're looking for a job or looking to be closer to family, whatever that might be, Home in Wayne is a website that we developed to try to help individuals fully understand who we are as a community and the opportunities that we have here. So if you're looking from the outside in, think about all the changes that you have to consider making. You know, you have to think about where you want to live, where do you want your child to go to school, what childcare opportunities are here, where can you find a job, what social events can you be engaged in. All of those things are on the website, as well as housing opportunities in particular, and links to real estate agencies. So we really wanted to make the process easier for people to understand who we are as a community and how they might fit in here and be happy here. Our low cost of living is something else that we promote. There's a widget on that website that actually allows you to compare the cost of living in Richmond compared to many other metropolitan areas and micropolitan areas across the United States. So being third and fourth continually as the lowest cost community across the nation, we can actually demonstrate that to people looking to move here. So it's a resource for employers as well. We want them to be able to share this tool with individuals considering jobs so that we're helping to make their job of recruitment a little easier.
Okay. Statistics from that so far, what are you hearing, what are you seeing? Is it positive for those people that you've had a chance to interact with that have taken a look at the website?
Yes, it's been very positive. So as we developed it, we had a network of major employers around the table and continued to receive feedback from them about the type of information that might be difficult to track, difficult to find, so that we can condense that and to provide it on one website. And so far, the feedback has been very good.
And the Hoosier Opportunities website for jobs, trying to link employers with students with internships, and employers with employees, potential employees with jobs. That's probably 2 years old now, about?
Yeah, you're right.
How is that working? And that was in collaboration with Jay County, I believe, that you did
Jay
that one.
and Randolph.
Jay and Randolph. How has that worked out, and what are you seeing the benefits, or are you seeing benefits from that site?
You know, it's been a very positive experience working with our partners in Randolph and Jay counties. We're continuing to market that site both to job seekers and to employers. The use of the site ebbs and flows, so I would say for anyone who's looking for a job one day, that doesn't mean the next day if you go back the same jobs will be posted. There's literally new jobs that are posted daily. So we're continuing to help bolster that site. We're investing thousands of dollars a year in its marketing as a way to condense the way people look for jobs. We want them to find jobs here at home so that they stay here at home and won't consider relocation elsewhere.
Are you seeing one side or the other using that site more? Is it being used more by employers posting jobs? Is it being used more by those looking for work? Are you seeing anything one way or the other on that?
That's a good question.
I get one per interview, and I waited till the end.
Without looking at the Google Analytics right now, I really can't say. But you know, job postings, they tend to just ebb and flow. It's very strange. So we can go from having 35 jobs one day, and then 2 weeks later there's 80 jobs. So the employer use ticks up and down. We're hoping job seekers are using it regularly because we put a lot of effort into marketing it to them.
Okay. We're down to our last couple of minutes here. Is there anything I haven't asked you that you want the community to know about what you do here, how they can affect what you all do, or anything of that nature?
Well, we're always open to feedback. You know, the EDC, we are a public entity. Our board meetings are open to the public. So if you're ever feeling misinformed and want to know what's going on our website, whywaynecounty.com, you can check out our board meeting dates, and you're welcome to come.
When did that, whywaynecounty.com?
Well, we changed it from edcwc.com because what is that? For someone who is looking for a new business location or for a site selector, they might not remember the acronym EDCWC, which is the acronym to Economic Development Corporation of Wayne County.
Right.
But we feel like Why Wayne County resonates better, and it's an easier website to remember, and it actually markets the county, which is what the EDC is set out to do.
Okay. Thank you. Valerie Shaffer, President, CEO of the EDC. You can find them at whywaynecounty.org. Is that it?
.com.
.com, okay. As a not-for-profit, I would think .org off the top of my head, so .com. So we'll have to put that up and make sure that that's there. I appreciate you taking some time and talking with us.
Thank you.
We'll check out some of what's going on in the community in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Melissa Vance with the Wayne County Area Chamber of Commerce, and I'd like to invite you to join me for the next Chamber Chat. We'll be talking with Lee Elzemeyer, our Chair of the Member Outreach Committee, the Chancellor of Ivy Tech, and then we'll wrap up with the annual dinner.
All the middle school students, so we did a quick highlight reel.
Tune in, WETV Channel 20 at 8 p.m. on Tuesday evening.
Family disaster plan is the document that a family would make to prepare themselves on how they would respond or how they would react to any event or emergency. The plan should be written by all members of the family. That way they have ownership, they all have involvement, everyone's ideas are addressed and concerned and all brought together to make a complete document. Contact information is important because you and your loved ones may be separated during an event. If you're separated, you have to know who to be in contact with so you all can communicate eventually together. Family members may be at different locations. They should have a central meeting point away from the home where they all know they can go to reunite and become a whole family again. Everyone should be prepared. When families are more prepared, it makes the community more prepared, and that's better for everyone involved.
Keep up with local government information and shows with WGTV Online. Go to WCTV.info and click on the WGTV Online button. It's a live stream and video on demand site in one. Click the play button, you'll see whatever's on the air on WGTV Channel 11, or scroll down for videos on demand. Choose whatever meeting or show you'd like to watch. It's easy to stay informed with WGTV Online, a service of Whitewater Community Television.
Once again, I want to thank my guests for this week's In Focus, Carrie Miles and Valerie Shaffer. Join us next week for In Focus as we'll take a special look at the JDAI program being run through the Wayne County Probation Department. I want to remind you that there is still time for you to get registered for the 2019 primary election. Voter registration ends on Monday, April 8th. Voter registration takes place a couple of different ways. 301 East Main Street, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. Or, of course, you can check your voter registration online at indianavoters.com. Also, please mark your calendar for a special In Focus candidate forum, the only one we will actually have this fall, as we speak with the Democratic primary mayoral candidates, Dave Snow and Jack Cruz. They'll be with us Thursday, April 18th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. That will be a special 90-minute show, and please feel free to send us your questions now or during that program. Earlier, the better. I want to remind you that Young Frankenstein is going on final weekend at the Richmond Civic Theater. Call the box office at 962-1816 if you need more information, or go rct.org. Remember, that one has a special adult advisory on it. You know, Frankenstein. What a little freak. The Richmond Community Schools, Red Devil Players, your good man, Charlie Brown, going from, Frankenstein to Charlie Brown. Gotta love this art. This happening the 15th, 16th at 7:30, and then on the 17th at 2 p.m. Don't look at me that way. Go ahead at 350 Hub Etchison Parkway. It's in the theater there at the Richmond Art Museum, the Red Devil Players. The Grand Tour, March 16th, that's Richmond Symphony Orchestra playing at Seton Catholic School. That's going to be at 7:30 p.m. That has become an annual event for them, for 962-8447 if you need more information. More music in the community, a musical gift to the community, a pipe organ concert at St. John Lutheran Church. You've heard, of course, that they have given that building to another church, but they have a great pipe organ, and you're invited to that concert, 501 South 7th Street. That will be St. John's last worship service. It will be April 28th. Call 962-7490 if you need more information. Shameless plug time, where the 6th annual WCTV Casino Night is going to be taking place. 21 for fun, hors d'oeuvres, cash bar, lots of food, lots of fun, lots of games. That's Friday, April 12th at the Elks. We're going to be at the Elks this year, and that's where we will be into the future. Doors open at 6. Tickets available at WCTV.info or at Owanda Gift Gallery and Gifts, 534 East Main Street. Thanks to our sponsor on this program. Also, the third and final Let's Talk coming up this year is going to be on Tuesday night from 7 to 8 live on WETV Channel 20. Addictions and epidemics, opioids and hepatitis A will be the topic. Angie Cooksey from Indiana University East is the host. Thanks again to my guests for joining us on this week's show. Also, thanks to Ryan Harris and Brandon Gentry for taking care of the technical end. We'll see you next Thursday night for another edition of In Focus. This broadcast of In Focus is being made possible through the support of Reed Health. Reed Health, right beside you. And by First Bank Richmond, with 8 locations serving Wayne County. First Bank Richmond and you, doing great things together.